I still remember the night I took the job as a security guard at the Grandmore estate. I'd heard whispers around town of strange things happening there, but a job was a job, and the pay was hard to ignore. The estate had been abandoned for years, standing alone at the end of a winding dirt road, the house itself looming with its tall, broken windows and ivy-choked walls. People said the place had a soul, a dark, restless one that fed on anyone foolish enough to stick around. My shift started at midnight. I arrived at the old gate, pulling up in my old car and gripping the steering wheel tightly, trying to shake off the strange feeling that had settled over me since I'd taken the job. A full moon shone down, casting eerie shadows on the cracked cobblestone driveway. I looked up at the mansion, feeling an odd chill creep through me. The place was silent, too silent, almost like it was holding its breath. I stepped inside and found the place in shambles, old furniture covered in thick layers of dust, paintings hanging crooked on the walls, and the unmistakable smell of mildew thick in the air. The company had asked me to patrol the estate, checking each floor and making sure nobody was trespassing. Easy enough, I thought. But as I moved through the darkened halls, my flashlight cutting through the gloom, I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. An hour into my shift, I heard the first sound, a faint whisper, drifting through the silence. I stopped in my tracks, straining to hear. It was soft, barely there, like someone speaking from a great distance, their voice warped and distorted. I told myself it was just the wind, that old houses made strange sounds, but deep down, I knew it was something else. As I continued my rounds, the whispers grew louder. They seemed to follow me, echoing in the empty rooms, whispering words I couldn't understand. I could feel eyes on me, watching from the shadows, and the hair on the back of my neck stood up. The darkness felt heavier, pressing in on me as I moved through the winding hallways, each one leading deeper into the heart of the house. I reached the second floor and found myself standing in front of a large, ornate door. It was different from the others, heavier, with strange carvings etched into the wood, symbols I didn't recognize. I felt an overwhelming urge to open it, as if something on the other side was calling to me, drawing me in. My hand reached for the handle, and the moment my fingers touched it, a wave of cold shot through me. I pulled the door open, my flashlight cutting through the darkness beyond. The room was empty, but I felt a presence, something unseen lurking in the shadows. As I stepped inside, the temperature dropped, and I could see my breath hanging in the air. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, filling the room with a cacophony of sound. And then I saw a figure standing at the far end of the room. It was tall and thin, its features obscured by the darkness, but I could feel its gaze piercing through me, cold and unfeeling. I froze, unable to move, as it slowly lifted a hand, pointing directly at me. The whispers grew deafening, 1,000 voices screaming in my mind, and I felt a surge of terror like I'd never felt before. I turned and bolted from the room, my footsteps echoing through the empty house as I ran. The whispers followed me, growing louder, angrier, as if the very walls were alive, pulsing with a dark, malevolent energy. I stumbled down the stairs, my heart pounding as I threw myself through the front door and into the night. I didn't stop running until I reached my car. I climbed in, slamming the door shut and fumbling for the keys with shaking hands. As I started the engine, I glanced back at the house and saw the figure standing in the doorway, watching me with that same cold, empty stare. Its hand was still raised, pointing at me, and I knew, without a doubt, that it would never stop watching, never stop waiting. I drove away, the estate disappearing into the darkness behind me. I never went back, never told anyone what happened that night. But sometimes, late at night, I can still hear the whispers, faint and distant, calling me back to the Grandmore estate. And no matter how far I go, I know I'll never truly be free from the house and its dark, terrible secrets.